Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today, Monday morning, August 16th, 2021. The man they call Meathead and the Linda K of Linda K's. I tried to use in Matthew's intro for you there. It didn't really work out for me. The lovely Linda K. Good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning, Meathead. I am excited because it is SummerSlam week, and now with SummerSlam being perhaps or known as the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, usually I say WrestleMania is my favorite week of the year. Dare I say SummerSlam might be? I'm not sure. It's summertime, so I guess it's a great week for myself as well.
Yeah, and we're out there. We're getting the sun. Even somebody like myself is getting a little color. Not in wrestling terms, of course, getting a little color to the old pigmentation scale there. But SummerSlam week it is, and we are heading into it, coming off of a week of AEW hype. Now it's a WWE week, I think. Really? I mean, I think it's a WWE week. We were mega on AEW last week. Let's talk about our sponsor first, Linda. Who takes care of us so we can take care of all of you?
That would be Collar and Elbow. Make sure to go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Go about the apparel where you can find the latest and greatest in wrestling street fashions. And if you want to save yourself some money, use promo code Linda K. That's LINDAKAY to save yourself 10% off.
That's fantastic. All right. Let's talk a little bit of news here. I know we said it's a WWE kind of week, but we need to talk a little bit before we get into the big time news of what happened on Rampage and Smackdown over the weekend. Rampage is a thing, and Rampage is in the books. Linda's watched, I've watched, I know all of you have watched as well. It was an hour show, and we'll go into what happened on the show in just a moment, but if I had one bone to pick, and this is kind of a big topic out there, that's why we're kind of starting with this. If I had one bone to pick, it's a four-man commentary booth. It's not the four men that I have an issue with. Mark Henry, the babe in the woods, seemed a little tentative to kind of throw out his stuff. You had Taz, who's a commentary, legend, did stuff with SmackDown, did stuff with Impact, and is doing stuff now with AEW. And you had Chris Jericho, who seemed to be on 11, on the scale from 1 to 10, jacked up, baby, just screaming the whole time. And you had Excalibur. Here's where I poke holes in this, and here's where I kind of nitpick a little bit. Your commentary team, the best team works out when you have your true play-by-play and you have your analyst. Your play-by-play is that astute, college-attended, trained person who calls the action line by line, and your analyst is one that is a former competitor that can say, hey, here's what I would have done in that situation. The two-man booth, I think, always works best. Three-man booth is pretty much the the be-all, end-all now. SmackDown is the only one that I noticed that still runs with a two-man booth, right? It's, Cole and Graves. However, McAfee. I did it again. I did that last week, too.
I got you. It used to be.
Yeah. However, a four-man booth is bonkers. Let alone a four-man booth, all of them are wrestlers. Now, Excalibur is amazing. And actually, Excalibur being a play-by-play guy is also working. There's another exception to the rule back in the day. Gorilla Monsoon was the play-by-play. Remember? Yeah. And he was a former performer. Linda K., your thoughts on the commentary team for AEW Rampage of Excalibur, Taz, Jericho, Mark Henry?
Well, it was the kickoff show to Rampage, so gotta throw a little bit of, dare I say, extra flair. And I don't mean Ric Flair, but a little bit extra on the commentary side because it is the kickoff. We've got, as you mentioned, Taz. He's going to be tremendous all the time. Excalibur, we've learned to really love doing AEW commentary from the start. Chris Jericho, you can always throw in and expect a great commentary review, a little comedy. He can be that heel of the team that just adds that little spunk. And now you have Mark Henry on there. Now we all know Mark Henry, newly acquired All Elite member to AEW. Kind of figured he would be used more in the broadcast commentary, perhaps backstage way, which he was used on Rampage. Now, it being four-man, okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. Sometimes it can be hard to really get everybody in even. It doesn't have to be an even amount, but you kind of want an even amount said from everybody.
Right.
It being Mark Henry's. I'm not sure if it's his first official um, commentary debut, live, I should say. And he did it right. He piped in here
I
and
thought it was
there, and
fine. He threw in good details.
yeah,
That's not my bone to pick.
yeah, no, I know. But do you really need the 4-man pick?
Right.
Maybe it was just for that debut. Like I said, it was just something so exciting. Let's add a little bit of extra, even to the commentary team. And as we saw, they utilized Mark Henry to do a little bit of the backstage corresponding as well. I do like, I will say, a little repackaged team from what you see from Dynamite. We're all familiar with everybody that was used on the commentary team. We're also familiar with Dasha. She's
You
tremendous.
know what
She's
threw
their
me
ring
off? I mean,
announcer.
I knew it was Dasha, but you know what she sounded like before we seen that it was Dasha? I swore that was JoJo Offerman.
Oh, no, I was hearing a little Christy Hemme just for like a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
miss Christy Hemme. I
Yeah,
liked Christy Hemme.
yeah. And
I
as we
thought
know,
Christy Hemme in Impact was fantastic.
oh yeah. So that's what I was kind of picturing. I'm like, oh, I kind of like how these were all familiar people, familiar voices, but a different team for another show. Um, I don't necessarily know if it'll always be that 4-man team though, because as we know, Jericho's always that added bonus whenever he would
Yeah,
hop in to commentary on Dynamite. That was always exciting, something to look forward to. Mark Henry, maybe it's just a way for him to really test the waters, whether for himself to test the waters or for the
possibly.
guys in the back, for Tony Khan to hear and see. So, all in all, I mean, it added something different. It added something extra. Is it necessary? Maybe not, because again, it wasn't really split so much evenly. And again, it doesn't have to be even, but I didn't hear as much from Mark Henry as I probably would have expected with him being added on if this is going to be every
And he
single
seemed a
week.
little timid, honestly. His
Oh, yeah. I get
while
it.
we
Absolutely.
believe, and his when he speaks, we listen. um, his energy was not matched. Jericho was super high. Excalibur is very level, except for when he needs to be, on very close pinfalls. And then Taz is where he's at. Mark Henry seemed off compared to the energy levels of the other three.
Yeah. It's,
Maybe I'm going too far into this, right? Maybe I'm analyzing too deep. I don't know.
oh, I mean, I guess we'll wait till next week in Chicago and see. Or is it still going to be all 4 of them? Will it be 3? Maybe Mark
It
Henry
would
will
be
just
hard for them to
finish
stay
it.
even keel energy wise being in the building. I mean, Chicago will be off the charts.
Well,
So I would
right. And
expect
if
them all to
Jericho
have
has a
energy.
match, he's not going to be it. I just thought about that. If Jericho has a match, I mean, he has though been on commentary the night of his matches where he'll then leave the table, so that
Yeah.
could be the case as well. But yeah, I think as the weeks go along, if they try to keep this 4-man commentary team up to speed, we gotta try to get everybody a little level, and it just takes some time. We'll
All
see,
right.
but
So
yeah.
let's jump into Rampage. First ever Rampage opens with a big, big match. AEW and Impact World Champion Kenny Omega with Don Callis taking on the number one ranked Christian Cage. Here's what they did right, and I I'm getting nothing from AEW when I do this, right? I'm not here to kiss their ass, but this booking was perfect. Here's what it did: the winner of the match and new Impact champion Christian Cage. He re-legitimizes Impact Wrestling. He is a former Impact Wrestling champion. I believe, and I might be wrong on this, but I believe that when Impact Wrestling went from TNA into Impact Wrestling, Christian Cage was the first champion to wear that new Impact World Championship belt. Secondly,
Ooh.
Kenny Omega is still strong, very strong as the AEW champion, but you've given me interest in the fact that, Christian Cage can beat Kenny Omega. He has beaten him. And Impact, we've talked about this for months on end. What are they getting in this whole Forbidden Door deal? Wow. They get Christian Cage as their world champion.
That is tremendous. Just how that entire match was packaged from start to finish. I mean, them kicking off Rampage, oh, you could really feel it. It was awesome. I wish I was there in Pittsburgh live, feeling that in person myself, and having a lot of near falls, and then of course interference. You have the Young Bucks coming out, which you thought was going to be to Kenny Omega's favor.
Right.
It was not. I mean, even Don Callis' interference ended up not in his favor as well. I thought the spot with the chair was perfect, even just how it looked. Again, that presentation of it all, them getting the pin, having Jurassic Express come out, and having Scott D'Amore come out. It, like you said, revitalizes that Impact title and Impact Wrestling as a whole, perhaps to those who may not watch that regularly or has not been watching it regularly. I mean, maybe you've got some wrestling fans that are only watching it a little bit just because of that Forbidden Door being open.
Well, they had that amazing lead-in from their good friends who didn't choose to do it, WWE and Smackdown. That's their lead-in. It's like the show that was on before Friends. You know what I mean? It literally led right into it.
Absolutely. That helps out new shows to get ratings.
Right. There's a gimmick with ratings. Just like Eric Bischoff back in the day started the early start on wrestling. Eric Bischoff used to start Nitros at 3 minutes to the hour just to catch that final, that quarter. He's the one that created the overrun.
Yes.
So it's all a TV gimmick, but boy, they are just playing it. Again, nothing to gain from, smooching on AEW's hindquarters here, but it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Now, do I believe Christian Cage is going to take the AEW championship off Kenny Omega? Highly doubtful. But it doesn't matter. He's still the Impact World Champion. They literally, again, I hate to reuse the word revitalize, but they've made that championship legit again. Not that it wasn't before, but they've shot its visibility through the roof now.
Right. Getting it into the eyes of many more viewers.
Right.
To have a little bit more of an interest into Impact.
Okay, let's talk about the other championship matches that they had. Let's talk about TNT champion, God's favorite champion, and the Redeemer, Miro versus Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol was, I believe, 1 in 35 this season.
I think it said 1 in 39 because I remember
possibly
saying one loss away from being 40.
Honestly, you could call Miro the Brewers and Fuego del Sol the Cubs because basically they're just kicking the crap out of them over and over and over. If Miro loses to Fuego del Sol, he gets an AEW contract. He gets to be All Elite. Well, that wasn't going to happen. Miro is the winner and stays TNT champion. But here's the cool thing. Sammy Guevara, Tony Khan came out, handed him a contract. Sammy Guevara apparently is Fuego del Sol's best friend. Said, you know what, kid, you're All Elite anyways. Welcome to the brand.
Must be nice.
Well, I mean, it was done once in wrestling before in the last year. That's how our good friend Drake Maverick got his job in NXT, remember?
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any less impactful, pun intended.
Exactly. No, I was just saying, it must be nice. He's got that extra backing there that even though he lost that match to Miro, even though that contract was torn by Miro, out comes Tony Khan with Sammy Guevara, and he's still saved. And Fuego also is All Elite. So that was nice to see.
Let's go main event. AEW Women's World Champion Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Again, look at her gimmick. She had the yellow P for Pittsburgh. She had the Steeler colors on her. The Pittsburgh thing, all the teams in Pittsburgh being the same color, her wearing her gimmick. I just respect it and love it more. Even more so while watching what she had on. Taking on the challenger Red Velvet. This, I also did not believe that there was any chance that Britt Baker did not win this. Now, she was the heel, even though she was in Pittsburgh, and she went ahead and started attacking Red Velvet after the match. Chris Statler tried to jump the guardrail and came to her aid. Out of nowhere, a woman was dressed in a black attire, began to hit Statler, and then stomped on her. It was Jamie Hayter coming to the aid of Britt Baker. Jamie Hayter is now All Elite as well.
Yeah, they mentioned last time seeing Jamie 2 years ago, and now the new repackaging, which is great. If she's going to be that extra backup that Britt Baker has been wanting.
Britt Baker told us about that about a month ago, that there was somebody coming.
Yeah, I think it's great having her in that all black and coming to the aid of the women's champion, especially since Rebel was kicked out of ringside. So,
and Rebel's still only on one leg.
Right. It was interesting. We knew that Red Velvet would be booed. Obviously, being in Pittsburgh, might I say?
Every time I hear you mention Red Velvet and I see her on my TV, I think of Alana Miles. You got that. I'm kind of happy. Folks, Alana Miles sang a song called Black Velvet.
Black
Let's move
Velvet.
on.
Yes. And then raspy voice. I thought you meant because my voice is a little raspy still.
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah, and with the towels, I mean, that looked cool. It really did. It's called the charitable towels, right? The Steelers one. But these said Pittsburgh, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool to see that. Uh, as well figured she would win. It was cool how she ended up using her other hand since her wrist was her normal hand was broken. She was able to still make Red Velvet submit with the other hand. So that was
Yeah.
a different, unique twist. But I thought they had an excellent match. I mean, the way Red Velvet's body contorts and moves, it was a great physical match. Again, I figured Baker would win, but I loved how that closed out Dynamite. Again, bringing JD Hatter in and Britt Baker still just looking strong, carrying that women's division right now.
Amazingly
She's
strong.
tremendous. Yeah, she looks great. Having that crowd behind her. A great
Okay.
Rampage debut. And might add, with it being only 1 hour,
Yeah.
so much happened in that 1 hour. It
Right.
was just a nice little package. But that's really all you need. And it's kind of, I mean, this is brilliant by AEW. I mean, it's another hour and another night, but if Rampage is going to continue to be like this every week, hit after hit after hit, just these tremendous matches. That's some extra excitement for my
Well, we
Friday
did this ad
nights.
nauseum on Friday morning show. Matthew and I talked about it. Look, Impact is feeding Rampage. Rampage is feeding Dynamite. Dynamite is now going to be feeding Impact. These two companies on the 3 nights are just feeding each other, making the next night must-see TV, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Let's speak about something that also was a pretty good show. All right, let's talk about SmackDown. Now, I'm going to be ironic when I say this, and both shows are live. However, WWE, did they pull the trigger on something that maybe they weren't ready to pull on with a counter programming title change? What I'm talking about is Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Apollo Crews to reclaim the Intercontinental Championship.
Mm.
Did
That
they do
was,
that to take a little bit of steam off of Christian winning the Impact Championship?
I mean,
You know what they mean? You know what I mean by stealing like the news cycle? Did they do that in the wrestling world?
perhaps. I mean, they're two different shows though, and the matches were with just stars on different level. I mean, obviously Shinsuke and Apollo Crews are fantastic stars, but
Mm-hmm.
he also got the match for a world championship. Not like Intercontinental doesn't mean anything, but versus
Right.
Kenny Omega and Christian Cage. Um, I mean, if that I'm not sure. I was very surprised to have seen that happen, that title change happen on SmackDown, but that was great to see. Um, it's nice to throw in a title change every once in a while on SmackDown and Raw versus a pay per view.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard for me to answer, but it would make sense if they did. Plans
Right.
changed
Like I said,
to
it's ironic that SmackDown aired beforehand. They're both live shows, but I think it was a foregone conclusion that it was Christian was going to go over Kenny Omega.
right. We
Did they
discussed
pull?
that too last week. That we pretty much thought Christian was gonna get the Impact
Did they
title.
pull the trigger on Shinsuke taking the belt from Apollo to bite into that news cycle? So,
Perhaps.
all right. Opening segment between Reigns and Cena. Thoughts on the allegedly, according to the news feeds, allegedly unscripted and unrehearsed shoot promos.
Well, the whole Nikki Bella mention. I want.
Nikki's not happy about it.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that it really. I mean, this is how I figured that it wasn't rehearsed because once Roman was done talking that segment, he's like, "Go ahead," and John was like, "Oh, I'm ready." Like he already had it. Like John Cena's just so good with his comebacks. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was ready to go. I could see that, feel it in that. Um, ironically, when Roman Reigns first mentioned the 20 years of missionary, like I like, okay, the two of them have got this funny ha feud going on about positions, or as they said it,
Mm-hmm.
dick jokes.
I love
And
dick and fart jokes. That's my bread
yeah,
and butter.
yes. But then when they brought the real life into it, I mean, to some extent, who knows the extent of everything with John Cena, Nikki Bella. If
Right.
what Roman said, blah, 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 whatever. But whenever you bring real life in, okay, John Cena was hot, but then he still kept it cool, if that makes sense. The whole 1, 2, 3 thing. And he just always gets at it with Roman. Even their promos back in the day with their prior match. I mean, John Cena just kills it, no matter who he talks to. Except maybe The Rock. I'm just thinking off recent battles and feuds, but you knew he was going to dominate this against Roman. But I will say Roman held his own. Like, he's playing that cocky, arrogant person to a T.
Right.
And it works for him. It does. But as far as being unrehearsed, I mean, that was probably the best jab that Roman could do against Cena, just because he was just getting overcome.
He was getting owned. He was verbally getting owned. That's what it was. Speaking about somebody that's been getting owned for a few months now with the ravioli juice on his shirts.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin lost to Kevin Owens. KO, your boy, right? However, Baron Corbin stole the Money in the Bank contract. Possession is 9/10 of the law. And is he the Money in the Bank briefcase holder right now?
Technically speaking, if he's got it in his hands. However, I mean, there's still technically a contract in the briefcase. Am I right? Remember the whole thing with the lunchbox? So perhaps we'll come to see this week, on Smackdown, that Big E has it locked, and maybe there's a certain code, and perhaps Baron Corbin can't break into it, so therefore he may be in possession of the Money in the Bank briefcase, but does not mean he is the official contract holder, and therefore does not mean he is Mr. Money in the Bank.
Okay. That has gotten really interesting, and I'm curious. I'm really curious. Hey, main event segment, Sasha Banks, Carmella, and Zelina attack Bianca Belair. What do you think of this little group that Sasha has going on with her, which is Zelina, Carmella, and Sasha? Yeah, it was the little group of Carmella and Zelina. Sorry. Math is hard.
This makes me believe that Sasha's going to come out as champion at SummerSlam this weekend.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wonder who picked her up.
Yeah. Hey, but Bianca Belair, very strong, very intelligent.
She's currently the winningest champion since WrestleMania.
There you go.
See what I did there? Yeah, the EST. But she could be the losingest champion by the end of SummerSlam.
No. Bianca Belair. I do like both her and Sasha. I do have Bianca Belair on my team. But I think adding in Carmella and Zelina definitely adds a lot more to this match, where it's not so like, will we get the same kind of match at SummerSlam? No, now we have a good chance of some interference that can go either way. But I'm thinking the way they have them packaged together that they're going to somehow outsmart the refs and Bianca. And maybe we'll get Sasha.
Sasha could put together a cool little 3-person group.
They look
bad
great.
Bitches or something like that, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember when they were bad. Wait, it was Bad and Beautiful, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. But this is a different type of feel. And their look all
Sasha looks
together.
all 100% the boss, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a nice
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. It's a nice way to bring in Carmella and Zelina as well, and just keeping them in that mix. And I like how they got to that point, because both Zelina and Carmella did get recent matches against Bianca, and now they're supporting the one that'll be facing her for the title.
I like it. Good stuff tonight. Apparently we're getting Goldberg back to confront Bobby. Again, it's SummerSlam week. We're making our way towards SummerSlam. We'll talk to the Mott's during the week to see what his plans are down in Vegas. The Matthew Thomas on the street. We've got lots of stuff coming up here. It's a busy week again. And again, this coming Friday, we've got the First Dance in Chicago at the United Center. Have you ever been to United Center for wrestling?
Not for wrestling. I have been there for a few different concerts.
Yeah, I've been to the United Center for wrestling. It's a good building to see a show in. I want to say I was there for 1 or maybe 2 Nitros, and I definitely was there for a Spring Stampede. The Spring Stampede right after WCW changed everything up, stripped all the titles. That Hulk Hogan Billy Kidman match that everybody was clamoring to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we went to Spring Stampede down there too, and of course you got to watch Mancow wrestle Jimmy Hart. But that's a match and talk for another time. So,
Yeah. Well, I do have a picture imitating Michael Jordan in front of that Michael Jordan statue.
oh,
That's my little keepsake outside the United Center.
nice. Oh, I mean, really, Michael Jordan is the man that built the United Center for the Bulls. So, all right, perfect. Well, hey, for Linda Kay, I'm the man they call Meathead. We will talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.